Hello and welcome to episode 10 of Rebrand Everything. Today we're going to be looking at creating some new logo designs for Bitcoin. So the first thing to do was research what they're currently using. So I went to bitcoin.org and that looks like this. So you can see that we use orange, grey, black and white, and they use quite a lot of these decentralized graphics. It's like network graphic with the points and then the lines connecting them, just to symbolize like the network, that it just how it works basically. I do like the grey. I like the general look of it. The only thing I don't really like is the orange, and I also feel like the logo could do with a little bit more space between the icon and the text. Here are some of my initial sketches. It's basically all just playing around with the B letter form and looking at how we can perhaps not rely on the sort of $ B that they use currently. Even though I do like that, I feel like on some of the options we're going to look at coming away from that as well. Obviously it's called Bitcoin, so I guess it makes sense to put it in a circle, but we can play with that in Illustrator. I also was looking at how we can work in that decentralized concept into some of the logos without it getting too overly confusing with lines everywhere and dots everywhere. I just want to keep it quite clean and simple. So let's jump into Adobe Illustrator. So in Adobe Illustrator, started out as usual with their current logo as a vector on the side, just so I can pull parts of that icon out if I need them. For this option, I decided we would use the current Bitcoin icon, rotated it round so it wasn't following the slant of the italic letters, and then replace the word mark with something that's not italic, a little bit thicker, and just generally a little bit more solid, looks a little bit stronger on the page. Even though it only takes up a similar amount of room on the page, it looks just like a more solid block. Then I started playing around with some of the colours used. I'm not a great fan of the orange, and I know that Bitcoin in the past has been called digital gold, so I was just trying to end up with something that represents gold a bit better than the bright orange they're using currently. I was just duplicating the logo down each time I got to like a point where I was quite happy, and then developing it on a little bit more, so trying it with an uppercase B, a lowercase b, introducing some of the gold colour into the actual text as well. I thought that perhaps the two dots on the eye, if they were made gold, it might draw your eye to them, and they kind of look like in the most basic form, they look like two people, and then by putting an arrow between them, it indicates or symbolises the transfer of funds or Bitcoin from one person to another. And I just developed my way through this using more and less arrows until I got just one arrow going behind the T, behind the C, through the O and to the other person. I thought that looked quite nice. For the next idea, I thought I'd rebuild the actual B icon as well, the Bitcoin icon. So I created a capital B with the two lines out the top, with the two lines out the bottom, but then rounded some of the edges just to give it a slightly different look to the old one. Still using our gold colour instead of the orange. I then wrapped that icon in another circle, just so it kind of looks like a £2 coin or something like that. Just gives it a little bit more, weight on the page. Looking at capital letters, then actually I thought, oh, hold on a minute, some of them ideas from a minute ago where I had the two dots on the two eyes might work quite nicely linking up to the Bitcoin icon. I got a little bit worried halfway through creating this one that perhaps, even though the idea of Bitcoin is it's decentralized, that this icon was kind of symbolizing it was the central point. So I started looking at a few different ideas with a few more lines going to different dots around the logo, but I think it got a little bit messy. So when I was on the website, I noticed that one of the key features of Bitcoin is the speed of transfer of the money. So I thought, why don't we try a lightning bolt in the logo? After spending a hilariously long amount of time trying to draw a perfect lightning bolt, I never realized how difficult that was going to be. I don't know whether I just couldn't get the vision in my head or what happened, but it just constantly looked wrong, whatever I did. So I ended up just going on the internet, typing in lightning bolt, dragging one in, and then just tracing over that a little bit, and then just changing it a little bit to make it my own, because we don't want any court cases. After creating a lightning bolt that I was kind of happy with, I thought we would attach that onto the left side of the B to make a new icon. So instead of the Bitcoin $ icon, it definitely symbolises speed and power, which are two things that you will want to push with Bitcoin. And then for the word mark, I used a font called Neutra Titling, I think it was called. And I actually tracked it outwards a little bit, which is something I don't normally do. I normally like everything tight and neat. But on this one, I thought we'd track it out for a little change. It makes it look quite wide and powerful as well. And then even though I thought the coin should be a circle, I actually put the icon inside a box for this one, just because I thought it looked stronger. I started drawing out a lowercase b in its simplest form, which is just a circle with a line coming off of it. Then I thought, hold on, this looks like I'm ripping off the Beats by Dre logo, so I quickly searched that on Google just to make sure what I was making wasn't a complete rip-off of that by accident. I created this one pretty much 100% using the grid in Illustrator, just so that I could get all the gaps and all the spaces exactly perfect, and using the grid in Illustrator definitely helps you not have all odd spacing. It keeps everything consistent and neat and tidy, which is really good. Even though I added the circle around the base of the B, I'm not sure if that made it a little bit untidy or a little bit too much going on for a small logo. Let me know what you think. For this option, I wanted to add a little slogan on there as well, like a little tagline, just like some companies do on their logo. So I went back to their website and pulled out the keywording and just put that underneath in a font that matched up nicely. I thought it looked quite cool and added to the logo. Again, using the grid in Illustrator, I started drawing out a capital B in its simplest form, which is basically just two rectangles with the right hand side curved to their maximum point. Then started playing around with the idea of putting that inside a circle where the top is one colour and the bottom is another colour. And then the idea was that the top of the B would be like reversed and the bottom of the B would be reversed out of that colour, to sort of indicate some sort of transfer between the two, or crossover. When I actually drew it out, I didn't like it that much, but I did like the B that I'd created, so I ended up just developing that a little bit further. So I started playing around with the form of the letters, playing around with that stroke that we're using, until the top and bottom of the B looked like two interlinking parts. Because the two parts of this looked a little bit separated, I decided to cut out that central part and add a little gradient in there so the blend from top to bottom was smooth. Because I liked the icon I've made before I'd added the gradient on the last option, I went back to one of the previous versions of that and decided to put that inside a circle and have that top and center of a big word mark. I think this looks pretty good, nice big solid logo. Okay, so I did a little bit more fiddling of some of the colours and a little bit of tidying up some rough edges, but here are the final options. And before I show you them, if you like this video, just remember to press like. If you want to see videos like this, design videos, rebranding videos every single week, then press subscribe. And if you don't want to miss any of them, press the little bell as well. Let's see what we've got.